In today's show, we're talking free agency. What are the recent contracts signed by Cam Thomas and Josh Giddey tell us about the Trailblazers securing their future with Shaedon Sharpe and Toumani Camara? Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same as Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we're talking free agency. Both the free agency of this summer, where Josh Giddey and Cam Thomas have recently signed contracts, and some other players from the 2021 draft class are still hanging out in purgatory. And discussing what that means in sort of the light of those deals for the Blazers' current players that are contract extension eligible, specifically Shaedon Sharpe and Toumani Camara. There's been a little bit of NBA news that's what we're going to get into with Josh Giddey and Cam Thomas, and we'll connect that back to the Trailblazers because I think there's a lot going on here, a lot of moving parts that suggest kind of what could be and what might be next for the Blazers' two contract extension eligible players, and then I will make some predictions at the end of the show, what I think is going to happen with each of these gentlemen. So let's get to the news first. There are four sort of big name free agents that have, or big name, restricted free agents that are the members of the 2021 draft class. Entered restricted free agency, still don't have contracts. The season is coming. We're 3 weeks away from training camp. Jonathan Kuminga remains unsigned. Quentin Grimes in Philadelphia remains unsigned. But we have two resolutions in some of these places. September 4th, your boy Cam Thomas just elected to sign the qualifying offer. What the qualifying offer is the offer that makes you a restricted free agent. So after you come off your rookie contract, you play 4 years, your incumbent team offers you the qualifying offer. You sign the qualifying offer and you become a restricted free agent, which means that you can still negotiate a new contract, or you can sign with another team and it gives them the right to match any offer you receive. But the qualifying offer is, in fact, a one-year contract. It is a one-year contract, and Cam Thomas just went ahead and picked it up. The deadline to either poo or get off the pot with qualifying offers is October 1st, and Cam Thomas said, "I'm not waiting around. I'm just going to take it." So what the qualifying offer offers Cam Thomas, what it gives Cam Thomas is a de facto no trade clause, because if you re-signed with your incumbent team on a one-year deal, you have the rights to block trades, and it lets him enter unrestricted free agency in 2026. I think this is always way too risky for the player. I just take the money and be mad about it. According to reporting from Shams Charania of ESPN, the Cam Thomas declined Brooklyn's offer of 2 years, $30 million with a team option on the second season. That's basically mid-level money, the mid-level exception money, but you get a team option on the second season. If you do sign that, you do forfeit your no trade clause because it's technically a 2-year deal. And then they also offered him other possible options where he would get a $9.5 million 1-year contract with incentives up to $1 million, but he would waive his no trade clause in the process. That's what Trani reported. So basically, Cam Thomas said, I'm gonna punt on something like $9 million and potentially more because there's the team option on year 2, or I'm going to punt on $3.5 million to maintain my flexibility. It's just such a fickle beast, professional sports. I would take the money. That was September 4th. September 9th, you were listening to September 11th show, Thursday's program. We do it 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts. Josh Giddey agrees to a 4-year, $100 million extension with the Bulls. Per the Chicago Sun-Times, Giddey wanted $30 million. The Bulls were kind of a little bit lower. They were in the range of about $22 million annually. The two sides eventually met in the middle. Average annual value, $25 million. Giddey, it kind of seems like an overpay. Like I wouldn't want to pay Josh. Like I don't understand why they negotiated with him. They should they had all of the leverage. They should have said, "Here's the money we're offering you, 4 for 88. Take it or go do something else." But Giddey gets his money. It's 12% of the cap, 13% of the cap. It's not like crazy money, but I'm not really a Giddey believer. Whatever, it's fine. It probably won't matter for the Bulls. They don't have much of a direction, anyways. Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes remained unsigned. Jake Fisher of a couple places, the Stein Line, and also he does a live stream on Bleacher Report, said that Philly is likely to re-sign Grimes and is likely to re-sign him to a multi-year deal. It's just about finding a dollar figure that works. We'll see what that looks like. Kuminga is in a crazy stalemate with the Warriors. They're offering him 2 years, $45 million, but the second year is a team option, so he loses his no trade clause when he signs that. Plus, he just becomes a walking trade exception. It's just like, hey, now we got you at $22.5 million, and you are going to get traded. Kuminga's camp reportedly at one point asked for 3 for $85 million. That was never really in the cards for the Warriors, I guess, or a 1-year deal where Kuminga would maintain his no-trade clause, and the Warriors have balked at that as well. What a stupid, messy situation that Golden State finds themselves in. They literally haven't done anything this summer literally have not made a single move this summer because they're in this weird battle with Kuminga. If you hate him, say you hate him. I think they should just offer him the 2-year, $45 million deal. They should just offer him straight up without a team option, just 2 years guaranteed 45. Seems like the solution. Kuminga and Grimes could still take the qualifying offer. October 1st is deadline to do so. October 20th, though, right before the season starts, is the deadline for rookie extensions to be signed. And we'll get to those in a moment. Why I mentioned the restricted free agents up front is because these are gentlemen who were drafted in the 2021 draft, and they failed last summer to agree to the rookie extensions. As I just mentioned, that can be signed later in the summer. So they played out the season in the last year of their rookie deal. They got qualifying offers. They became restricted free agents, and just the world dried up on them. The market dried up on him. It's like there's no cap space out there. Nobody's willing to pay Cam Thomas $30 million a year. There wasn't a huge market for Josh Giddey. There's clearly not much of a market for Kuminga and no market for Quentin Grimes. All good players, like rotation level players, kind of each with their own flaws here and there, but like there's just no money for them, right? And the Blazers have 2 players on the roster that could conceivably be restricted free agents next summer. They can either sign rookie extensions this summer, or potentially enter restricted free agency and find themselves in a similar dance next year. It won't be exactly the same because there are more teams that potentially have cap space next summer, but this could potentially be a real thing. It could be a real thing for Shaedon Sharpe, the number 7 overall pick in 2022, who's entering the final year of his rookie contract, and for Toumani Camara, the 52nd pick in the 2023 draft, who actually has a player or a team option for the 26-27 season that is next year, not this coming season. That's a couple weeks away, but the one that follows. But if the Blazers decline that team option, Toumani could also end up a restricted free agent. They could have both of these dudes in the sort of in this weird stalemate dance. Now the Blazers haven't really messed with restricted free agency too often. I guess they let Matisse Thybulle go into restricted free agency and then matched his contract. Eyes of the beholder, whether that was a good idea or not. But like this, for the most part, they have taken care of their people, right? They've extended Anthony Simons, but this will be a real test for Cronin because this is the sort of first cycle of his draft picks. Shaedon Sharpe being his first ever draft pick, to test what his philosophy is with this type of stuff. So with the idea that Cam Thomas didn't have any money and took the qualifying offer, Josh Giddey got some money from the Bulls because the Bulls are kind of weird, and that 2 other quality restricted free agents are out there, let's talk about the situation with rookie extensions and what it has looked like previously, because I think that could inform some of how we think about what could happen with Shaedon Sharpe in the coming weeks. We have about 6 weeks left to resolve this, or Sharpe is likely to hit restricted free agency next summer. Join me in the second segment. We'll talk about the saga with a little bit of brief recent history lessons. Join me there, won't you? First, though, let me tell you that today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and turn up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings you the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. It's perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. So whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. If you're like me and you play golf, it's a long time. You might be out on the course for a long time because you're going to, lose some golf balls along the way. Six putt when on the green or something really embarrassing. But if you are actually good at golf and you just need a little extra energy to focus, the 5 Hour Energy can be what you need. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and the promotion ends October 31st, 2025. All right. So the Blazers could potentially have 2 restricted free agents next summer, but the way to avoid that is to pay these dudes. I don't think there's a flight risk. Like, and the important part about restricted free agency is you can't go anywhere. Ask Jonathan Kuminga. The thing about being a restricted free agent is you are trapped. Ask Cam Thomas. The thing about being a restricted free agent is you do not have a lot of great outs, and you're out. Your way to get your freedom and become an unrestricted free agent is to probably punt on some immediate money for hope of a future payday. And the sort of recent history of guys taking the qualifying offer, very few of them have ended up getting the bag, in no small part because teams have less incentive to kind of lean into your gifts and say, yeah, you're part of our future. Let's play you a bunch. Let's give you all the runway because they know that you are indeed a flight risk, free to leave. But that's not what it is for Toumani and Shaedon. Let's talk about Toumani's situation first, and then we'll get into Shaedon. Toumani Camara is... So the deadline to sign Shaedon Sharpe to a contract extension, we'll get into rookie contract extensions here in a moment, is October 20th. Toumani's not subject to that because he has a team option for 26-27. He can sign a contract extension into this at any point this season. In fact, I believe it goes to the very end of the calendar year of this year for him to extend. So Toumani is not subject to the stuff we're about to talk about, but he is subject to a real max. There is a ceiling that Toumani can hit, and it is about 4 years, $89 million. That's the absolute most money the Blazers can offer him. That is not a max contract by any means, but that is the maximum amount that the Blazers can offer him based on the league rules. Basically, because he makes so little money, he's extending off the average annual salary, so it's about 4 for $89. How it would work is the Blazers would decline his 26-27 option. They'd sign Camara to this extension, and it would kick in next year. But the Blazers could also wait till next summer. They could decline Toumani's option and make him restricted free agents, or they could wait into the year and sign him to an extension. He is less subject to this stuff than Sharpe. Sharpe is actually facing a real deadline to get something done October 20th. So I want to offer you here a brief history of rookies who have signed. This summer is the 2022 draft class is eligible to sign rookie contract extensions. And thus far, the class that has signed are Paolo Banchero, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and somewhat shockingly, Jabari Smith Jr. 4 dudes. So typically, and I'll run you back with this when we rewind the clock to last summer of 2024. But Paolo Banchero signed a 5-year max with the potential to escalate to be the supermax, designated veteran maximum. Jalen Williams, same deal, except his escalations, he has smaller steps in his escalations where he could ramp up. Chet Holmgren signed a max contract, 25%, no escalations. There's 25 and a 30% max is the big one, and J-Dub, Jalen Williams in Oklahoma City, has some escalations that get it to 26, 27, and then 30 all the way there. Banchero is 25 with escalators to 30. So, like, those maxes come early. Those were signed in July, second week of July for the OKC guys, a little bit earlier for Banchero. Jabari Smith Jr. was the first player in the draft class to sign, and he signed he agreed in freaking June. Late June 29th, it was reported that Jabari Smith Jr. signed a 5-year, $122 million contract. This is pretty rare. Guys who are non-max players typically do not get the business done early. I think it's a good deal for Jabari Smith because he gets $122 million, and I think it's a good deal for the Rockets because I bet if Smith is good, its boys are going to be under market by the time he gets to the back half of that contract, and 5 years of team control for a young player. There's some real upside in that contract for Houston. But I want to rewind before Josh Giddey, Cam Thomas, Quentin Grimes, and Jonathan Kuminga got caught in this mess of restricted free agency. Before it all dried up for them. Restricted free agency is messy. It is very team friendly. It is hard if you are a player and you hit restricted free agency to leverage teams. But to avoid that, you sign a contract beforehand. So let's rewind all the way back to the summer of 2024. Join me in the Wayback Machine about 12 months ago. There were 10 players, 10 first-round picks that signed in 2024. The record for first-round picks signing contract extensions actually happened the prior summer in 2023 when 14 first-rounders from the 2020 draft signed contract extensions. It was the previous record had been 11 that happened in 2022 and 2022 and in 2021. We are seeing teams kind of lock into their guys more often, and I think we're also seeing players saying like, "Yeah, give me the money." Like Cole Anthony is like, "Yeah, give me the money. Like I'll take a contract." Cole Anthony has since been waived from that contract. Like get the money first, right? Get the money first. So 2024. We make it to the summertime, and the maxes, as they do, typically come in July. 4 max contracts signed in July. Cade Cunningham, July 9th. Evan Mobley, July 20th. Scotty Barnes, July 8th. Franz Wagner, July 6th. Those are in order that they're drafted. Cade 1, Mobley 3, Scotty Barnes 4, Franz Wagner 8. So you get your maxes early. People do because these aren't negotiating deals. These are like, we believe in you. You're our franchise guy. Let's do it. Maybe you can quibble with Scotty Barnes getting that big of a bag. I know I certainly wouldn't want to be the person paying Scotty Barnes $250 million, but he had made an all-star team. They believe, right? They believe he fits their plan. But so you get the 4 max guys. 6 other first rounders signed non-max deals, contract extensions. Another second rounder, Jaden Hardy, also signed a deal. But we're going to focus on the first rounders as it pertains to Shaedon Sharpe. All of these deals happen on deadline day. Jalen Green, deadline day, 3 for $100 million. Jalen Suggs, deadline day, 5 for $150. Corey Kispert, deadline day, 4 for $54. Alperen Şengün, deadline day, 5 for $185. Trey Murphy in New Orleans, deadline day, October 21st, 4 for $112. Jalen Johnson, deadline day, 3 for $150. That's your second pick, 5th pick, 15th pick, 16th pick, 17th pick, and 20th pick in the draft. 6 top 20 picks sign non-max deals on deadline day because deadlines spur actions. These gentlemen, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, Alperen Şengün, Trey Murphy, and Jalen Johnson. One of these things is not like the other. Apologies to Corey Kispert. But like these guys avoided restricted free agency and got long-term security and just got money. Get the money early. You might pop, but get the money early. And they all made these similar decisions, right? And these all were reported on October 21st of 2024, deadline day. Notably, Josh Giddey doesn't sign an extension. He's the number 6 pick in that 2021 draft. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't sign an extension. The number 7 pick. Grimes was 25. Cam Thomas, 27, didn't sign deals. Then they get into the mess of restricted free agency. So if Shaedon Sharpe wants to avoid that mess, there is incentive for him to go ahead and sign a deal. Camara doesn't have that same restrictions. Like I said, he has a actual number he can hit, 4 for 90, and that's like right in the range where I think if I'm the Blazers, I give Toumani that immediately. I say we would like to give you all the money we possibly can for the longest contracts we possibly can, because I think Toumani's good. 4 for 89. There's real upside in just adding good players to your team. I think Toumani Camara making like low end starter money is a good deal for the Blazers, and 4 for 89 in this current day and age is low end starter money. I think it's a pretty safe bet. Add good players to the roster. Sharpe is a little bit harder to kind of figure out where he fits and where the math works and all of these guys. But I think there is incentive for Sharpe to try to reach something with the Blazers, try to reach a deal with the Blazers. And if it happens, you better believe October 20th, 2025 is the day we are probably going to hear about it. Let's talk about the sort of what a deal for Shaedon Sharpe might look like and some predictions that I have for the Blazers and their 2 free agents to close the show. Join me in that third segment. Still a pass for his point guard. Still Mike Richmond. Still listen to Locked On Blazers. So when you look at what happens in the summer of 2024, some good players take varying levels of sort of deals that are somewhat favorable. Like I think the Jalen Johnson $150 million contract with the Hawks, I think that's a good deal. I think getting him on a 5-year, $150 million contract seems like a really big number at the time, and then immediately when he plays looks like a good deal. I think the Houston Rockets signing Alperen Şengün to 5 for 185 based on what we've seen Şengün do since then, and also in Eurobasket this summer, it's like, yeah, dude is really good. That's probably a good deal, right? These can be contracts that are beneficial to the team, but they also, as we've seen, can be beneficial to the player, right? Like, Trey Murphy getting, that's TM3, getting 4 for 112, right? Like that's not crazy money, but like an average annual value in that 28 range there's real upside for New Orleans there if they were made some better choices around the margins, right? Because Murphy might be pretty good, and like, it's just not that big cut of a rising salary cap. Now the cap isn't skyrocketing, right? Like it's only projected to go up 7% next year, but it is rising, and getting these contracts in early, even though they seem like big numbers up front, are like it can be a way in these non-max negotiations for teams to secure players to real valuable contracts. And I think this speaks to, so in light of those, I also want to look at the Josh Giddey deal. Giddey is maybe the only one of these gentlemen who's going to end up with like north of the mid-level exception, who the restricted free agent gentlemen, of Giddey, Cam Thomas, Kuminga, and Quentin Grimes. I'll be curious what Quentin Grimes gets, but I bet it'll be like 3 for 45, right? That would be my guess. Cam Thomas, just like the money wasn't out there and he's betting on himself. Kuminga, like, he'll probably end up, the Warriors just handled this poorly from a human standpoint. But I would, like, Kuminga's going to get 20 some. I misspoke. He's going to get, I bet he ends up with that. I bet he ends up with 2 for 45, but both years are guaranteed. That's how I end up. I bet this ends with Kuminga because I feel like that's the most fair way for both sides. Kuminga might be, like, even if he's not my cup of tea, he's like, he has enough upside and has enough sort of like raw value at his age that offering him $20 million a year in like the current NBA is fine. That brings us to Shaedon Sharpe. Shaedon Sharpe has not been nearly as productive as Josh Giddey. Not nearly. Giddey almost averaged a triple-double the back half of last year, right? Like, he was hooping. And he was making threes, and like he's averaging, like a 28 and 8 or whatever, shooting really well from three. He was really, really a legend in the box score. I'm not really much of a Giddey believer. Like I think his box score stats sort of belie his actual impact on the sport and like winning basketball games. I don't think that what he does is particularly wins you basketball games at a really high level. Although he might be just good, right? He might end up being pretty good. And I think it's potentially worth the risk. But why I mentioned him is like Shaedon Sharpe just has not been nearly as productive as Josh Giddey. So if you look at what happened to Giddey this summer and you say like, okay, well, it seems like a good outcome for me if I hit restricted free agency is 4 for $100. Now, $100 million life-changing money, $80 million life-changing money. Like for you and I, lay people, much smaller millions of life-changing money. But we're talking about guys who are going to play in just like a sport that's a little bit different. So they have different jobs than we do. So like if you look at $25 million as a positive outcome, you say, okay, well, there weren't any teams that had cap space this summer, but next season there are 5 teams that project to have cap space, right? It's like significant cap space, over $40 million in cap space. And there could obviously be more. And if more guys elect to hit free agency, more teams will make decisions that will allow them to create cap space and such and such. Like the Blazers could be a cap space team, but not like a significant cap space, like sign a big free agent. They're more like in the $12 to $15 million in cap space. And so they probably won't even operate as a cap space team. They'll probably make the moves and operate above the cap because that can be more beneficial if you're not going to sign a big free agent with that money. So for Sharpe, I think the calculation is, okay, if it is 5 teams, is someone really going to back up the Brinks truck for me that forces the Blazers' hand, or am I going to get into this mess? Am I going to get into this mess? Am I going to get into a Quentin Grimes mess where like Sharpe has a lot more upside than Josh Giddey, right? Like I think there's a world in which Sharpe is just like way freaking better than Josh Giddey has been to date. But again, like right now, today, as I'm recording this on the evening of September 10th, like he hasn't been nearly as productive as Giddey was this year. Not close, not even close. In terms of just like raw production on the basketball court. But you're paying for what guys can become, so it's a little bit different. So I think for Shaedon, I think somewhere in that Trey Murphy and under range, somewhere in that like, hey, 4 for $100 sounds great. Even if I'm Shaedon Sharpe, I consider the idea of 5 for $100 just to avoid restricted free agency because it could get messy. But again, 5 for $100 is probably a really, really, really team-friendly deal and a below market money for Shaedon Sharpe, well below market money for Shaedon Sharpe. So here's like what you end up with. The Blazers have a lot of leverage here because they could say like, take the deal, take our deal. Like we're giving you, say 5 for 115 or something like that, right? Saying here's 5 years, $115 million, no player option, just straight up 5 years, take it or leave it. And Sharpe has to decide whether he wants to take that money or on deadline day, opt into hitting playing out the season, hitting restricted free agency. There is a world in which Shaedon Sharpe absolutely blows up, hoops, just balls out, and is worth way more money than that, right? And commands a fat contract, and the Blazers will be able to pay him if they so choose, right? He wouldn't be like pricing himself out of the Blazers, but there is a world in which he bets on himself and earns a ton of money this year. But there is a world in which he takes, a moderate step forward, and in a world in which players have rarely change teams in free agency, and he will be a restricted free agent, so the teams would have to massively overpay to pry him away from the Blazers. Like he'll just like get his it just probably doesn't work out for him. Sharpe could find himself squeezed, and even unless he takes a major leap, there actually isn't much upside to hitting restricted free agency. If he doesn't agree to a contract extension, if the sort of 5 for 115-ish contract doesn't come to fruition, or he just doesn't want that, right? He knows that he can play himself into more money, or believes he can play himself into more money, then so be it. But I think there is risk. I think there is all the risk in the way free agency works now is shifted to the player. Because the Blazers, if Shaedon Sharpe is really good and earns a bigger contract, they just pay him. And if he's not very good, if he doesn't take the leap he wants to take, they have all this leverage to probably lower their offer that they make in September than they will make in then they will, come back to when we get into June of next year, July of next year. So I think that is the risk for Sharpe. So my prediction, I'm going to guess that Shaedon Sharpe does not sign a contract, because I'm going to guess that Shaedon Sharpe bets on himself. He has not been as productive as he wants to be. He's entering this big year. He could make this money, and the Blazers have some leverage. They could say you haven't been as good as Jalen Suggs. You haven't been as good as Trey Murphy was on this contract. You haven't shown like as much as we like your upside, we just can't pay for something that we haven't seen with consistency. And so what if we're willing to offer you this kind of like Jalen Green the 3 for 95 version of the Jalen Green deal that lets you get back into free agency, but doesn't give doesn't give you the sort of security, right? I think that's what you're up against. So I'm going to guess that Shaedon Sharpe doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does. And if he does, I'm going to guess right now, this is a prediction, under the average annual value of the Trey Murphys, the Jalen Suggs, and the Jalen Johnsons, and certainly the Jalen Greens. I'm going to guess the average annual value is in that $22 million a year range, which could be a significant, the back half of that deal, 5 years at average annual value at $22 million is that could be, by the end of that 5-year contract, it's the mid-level exception might be $20 million, right? So the real upside for the Blazers if they secure him, and I think and Sharpe could bet on himself. Toumani, if I'm the Blazers, I do everything in my power to get Toumani on this contract. Everything you possibly can, because they have the power to make him a restricted free agent next summer, and that gets a little bit messy, but this is your chance to sort of to add money to the books, right? This is your chance to say okay, cool, whatever. We're just 26-27 season. We want you. You're a good player. Let's do it. But they could also just make that same decision. So I'm going to say that Toumani does not sign before this summer. We do not get a Toumani deal, although I think the Blazers should have prioritized it. And they will not sign Sharpe because he'll bet on himself. Although I think it is more likely that by the deadline, October 20th, Sharpe signs than Toumani, because Toumani doesn't actually have a deadline, and deadlines spur actions. That's your free agency primer for the Blazers in September. Come back for tomorrow's show. It's what we do 5 days a week wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.